I'll concede everything. It ain't worth the fight. Nothing's worth the fight as far as putting up Christmas tree lights.
Concede. Always concede.
You choose your battles. This is not what I'm not. No. Wait a minute. You should put that bulb over there, not there. No.
I just like that every year I break a couple of the ornaments so I don't have to put them away. It's great. Because there's just too many of them. I have so many. And every year, one or two of them falls off and shatters. I'm like, oh, no.
All right, James, if you want to count us down before you commit harikari.
The fuck is that?
It's Japanese suicide?
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. I think I got that wrong. I think I got that wrong. I think harikari is the girls that dress up like little schoolgirls.
No, harikari is the
it's the suicide?
Is the ninja.
I thought it was
samurai.
Isn't it seppuku or something?
Samurai, you mean?
No, it's samurai. I think that's right.
Samurai.
Yeah,
Japanese.
Yeah.
Sword suicide.
This is the dumbest shit we've ever.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, seppuku. It's sometimes referred to as harikiri.
Oh.
All right. Well,
you're not wrong.
Look at me and my knowledge, my cultured ability here. You know what I mean?
And Chris Brown says something about his.
Welcome to the show.
His car is being hard car because the tops are cut off.
Oh,
yeah.
Suicide.
Yeah. If you guys wondering why I'm like not participating, just watch the Raiders get dismantled by a team without two of their three like top players.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Oh yeah, Julio Jones is on my bench. Y'all getting stomped out.
What?
Yeah, Julio's not playing.
What happened?
Well, the offense screwed everything up. The defense wasn't doing so bad, but if you could continue to give them the ball at the 30-yard line.
Was there a bunch of turnovers?
Yeah, we had 5 before I turned off the game.
Was it Carr?
No, this time it was offensive line.
The offensive line was fumbling the ball?
No, Carr fumbled, but it was because he was getting hit, like, from the blind side. Because the offensive line wasn't blocking.
He should learn something from his brother. His brother got hit a lot and didn't let go of the ball.
Well, he's better than his brother. So don't argue that because it's true.
Careers are better out of college. David was better.
We're not talking about college, though.
Like David had turnstiles for offensive line.
Yeah, that offensive line was terrible.
I thought they hated
college football is not. It's not a good benchmark for how good a football player you are.
I'm sorry. You could have who's the greatest football player of all time? Sammy Baugh could have been backfield.
Nah.
Fake news.
But yeah, we took an L, but I don't know if it was as bad as Nate Robinson.
Boy.
All right, did either of you pay for that pay-per-view?
No.
Right,
dude,
cool.
I got on
sure.
I got on Questlove's YouTube stream, who was streaming the fight for all of us.
I just went to sleep.
Oh, you don't watch it at all?
No.
Wait, you were asleep at like 9:30?
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody's life is over.
Thanksgiving food. Fuck you mean?
Wait, you still eat the leftovers, but you ain't gonna put yourself in some tryptophan coma at 9 o'clock the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I did.
That's what I'm saying. Your life is over.
That's 2 days after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Yeah, no shit. 2 days after. My bad.
Hey, we had a lot of food and not a lot of people. So
I cooked 17-pound turkey and 2 turkey pot pies for one.
I ain't cooking goddamn thing. I ate a lot.
And I got mashed potatoes, mac and cheese stuff.
Yeah, I still got mac and cheese in the fridge, boy. I'm about to go back to sleep after this shit.
Yeah, I need a nap, dude. I'm so tired.
So
I'm so upset.
So that guy took.
Was it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? I can never remember.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
So
Logan Paul's the one who lost to KSI, but Jake
you gotta know, just looking at them too. Like, I think what a lot of athletes try to get confused is because they're a great athlete, they think that translates into anything. But I think right nowadays, what you're looking at is that athletes, when they're playing particular sports and you're being groomed from such a young age to play this particular sport, you are a world-class athlete in that sport. But it does not mean it translate. It's not like the era of Sammy Ball, where if you're just an athlete, you're just an athlete. It's a situation where
eat boiled potatoes.
You are trained specifically to excel at this particular thing. And even if you're looking at the reach advantage that Jake Paul had over Nate, like it didn't look like it was going to be anything.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at it though, like Jake is a YouTuber, so
Jake is he was a D1 national championship wrestler,
and he's boxed. So
yeah,
I'm just saying
he was a Division I championship wrestler.
But I think this right here would kind of set the stage for Jake Paul versus KSI. Finally,
I don't care about that at all.
I don't think that they can run another non-sanctioned fight if Jake Paul's gonna be out here killing people.
I just want David Dobrik to show up and murder somebody, or Mr. Beast. Just give me some YouTubers just do
Jake
shit.
Paul, Nate Robinson was asleep and confused for like 5 minutes. He wasn't moving.
Yeah,
I was afraid that he was dead.
But the only good thing that came out of that was Snoop Dogg's commentary.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg, he deserves a contract.
That's pretty legit.
Give the man a contract. Dude, his commentary.
Singing spiritual hymns.
His commentary on everything's great. If you listen to his commentary on like Planet Earth, like he is fucking awesome. I don't know why he's not on TV more. He needs to be. He needs to be.
He did have a nice run on ESPN.
Yeah, I mean,
every now and again. Yeah, so
someone needs to give him a contract because he is very entertaining.
Maybe the new XFL.
Ugh. I mean, those fights, some of them are pretty boring, but
like he's entertaining, but I'm not. I don't want him. I want to know about what's happening on this.
Well, he's color commentating. Just have somebody there.
I'm glad you fixed that.
That's what it's called. It's called color commentary.
I know he's like, oh no, he's colored.
Yeah, you know what? He's a colored commentary.
That's what I'm like. I'm glad you fixed it.
All right, Ryan, we know what you feel about.
Yeah, you caught me.
It's a bad. Here's the thing. This week has been extremely bad for short black entertainers. Kevin Hart taking L's and Nate Robinson taking L's. Damn week.
What happened to Kevin Hart?
He put out a special that everybody fucking hates to try to defend himself.
And then he went on Clubhouse to defend himself.
Chatbot, whatever the fuck it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, the new stand-up? I heard it was horrible. I haven't even watched it.
I watched the last 20 minutes. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it's also me always saying, if you're looking at diehard stand-up, Kevin Hart is not that great. He never has been. Like, the last time I remember listening to Kevin being like, all right, this is something legit, is when he was – what did he used to call him? Like Lil Kev or whatever from Philly? Like, back old school. This is back in, like, the –
yeah, but now he's like
O'Neal was coming up. No, he's too big. Like, he's on a different wavelength. Like, what he's doing as far as entertaining is worried about his movie career and worried about the dollars and cents. And that's why you got some of the best comics are still at the Comedy Cellar in New York without a TV deal because they want to stay grimy and they want to stay funny, and it's hard to do both. The dudes that do both are the Dave Chappelle's, the Chris Rocks. Eddie Murphy even struggles with it. That's why
it was that era, remember? Like before when Eddie was still like Eddie or whatever, but it was before he like had all the big.
You choose one or the other. You choose one or the other. The guys that
actually still able to get off them jokes because of the time we were in.
No, but here's the thing: Eddie Murphy, after he had done those two specials in the '80s, stand-up career done. Like he's talked about wanting to do stand-up again, but he also knows in order to do stand-up, he's got to go on the road, work on his jokes. And he's like, yo, I'm sitting here with hundreds of millions of dollars. Why would I want to go do that right now?
That and the fact that you can't say nearly half as much.
But
that was my point.
But the thing is, there are only a very small select few that can stay in both lanes. And you're talking about Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock.
Hannibal Buress is in there for me because he does like small stuff on TV, but his stand-up is still legit. He still goes like all the stand-up festivals and stuff. So he's still doing it.
Hannibal Buress's TV stuff was with Eric Andre, which means there is no rules. whatsoever to what it is you're doing. You could say anything you want to do. Hannibal
in,
Buress was on stage talking about, he's the one who wrote out the dime on Bill Cosby before anybody else had the balls to do it. Hannibal Buress knows no lines, all right? That's where he's at.
He was on Broad City for a while, too. I think he was co-writing Broad City.
But regardless, that fight last night, did y'all – I didn't even watch any of the highlights from the Mike Tyson fight.
No, Mike Tyson was boring.
Was it?
Yeah. And then they called it a draw, even though Mike Tyson – was the clear winner, but whatever.
Yeah, and I kind of got the gist of that when I saw what Roy Jones said. It was like, yeah, I felt like I did my thing, and they called it a draw, and I'm cool with that. If you're cool with that, that means you didn't think you won.
Yeah, that means you thought you lost, and you got a break.
Yeah, but going back to Jake Paul, you guys saw the knockout. Do you think that he should fight again? Or
Jake Paul or Nate Robinson?
Jake Paul. Nate Robinson.
Jake Paul looks awful. He doesn't look like a boxer.
Jake Paul can continue doing these little celebrity bullshit YouTuber things. Do this all day. If it's getting you paid,
yeah.
I ain't paying for this shit.
Yeah, it's not. He's not a good fighter. It was boring. Okay. He just got power. Like he was in the clinch like 90% of the time. But he was just throwing haymakers, and one of them landed.
To me, the thing that was coming out of this fight and what I wanted to know more about, but everybody's just cracking jokes on Twitter about two geriatrics fighting each other, was whether or not Mike Tyson would get the itch to continue fighting.
He said that.
So that's the thing. Like, what I want to see coming out of this is what Mike does. Because if you're looking at all the rules they had in this, as far as the no knockouts, the no this, the no that, no any other.
And then they backtracked on that because they knew there was going to be knockouts.
But what does Mike want to do? Like, if Mike's going to continue fighting, that's something that, look, I will pay to see Mike fight if they let Mike fight.
I think the next step was Holyfield.
He didn't break a sweat. Mike Tyson looked hilarious. Fantastic shape.
That was a talk before this fight.
This is going to be hilarious. It's just going to be a bunch of geriatric boxers saying
I'm scared for that, though. Just for the fact that, like, you never really want to see an old boxer, like, fight really again.
Dude, Mike Tyson
I don't think it's going to be a real fight.
Looked legit. Like, he looked in the face old, but he wasn't sweating. He wasn't huffing and puffing. And he was out there for, 8 rounds, 2 minutes a round. He looked in shape. He was in ridiculous shape.
I put Mike in the same category as what we were talking about last week with T.O. If your heart's in it, I look at those guys and saying they're timeless. Not timeless. I look at those guys and say that they can do things that other people can't even comprehend to do. So I don't put any barriers on them. But if they're talking about just throwing out the next geriatric fight, I don't see them having him and Evander no holds barred, basically doing whatever it is they want to do. There's going to be a certain level of protection. But I honestly do think if Mike wants to, I think there are going to be a lot of people that are on the fence about whether or not it should be allowed. But if he wants to do it, I'd like to see Mike. I'd watch Mike actually take on an actual fight.
Yeah, me too. He's just entertaining. It's entertaining to watch him.
But it's also nice to see him on the other side of all the mental shit and everything that he's been through, and to see him this new and invigorated man who's not fighting for survival anymore. He's not fighting to kill you anymore.
Didn't he just recently say he was going to step in the ring to kill somebody?
No, that was when he was talking about what he had done and when he used to step in the ring, it was about killing you. Like, that was what it was. It was to put food on my table, I'm going to murder you. And that's how he had so much hate and anger. But you see Mike right now. Look, Mike can turn it on, turn it off. You watch those interviews, somebody asks us something a little incorrect, dude look ready. He could still snap your fucking head off your neck.
He's just smoking a lot more weed now, and he's really calm.
He's chill. He's calm, and he's relaxed. He's a father. He does his thing.
He's still got a crazy face tattoo. We can never take that away from him.
I mean, you can't even do a tattoo removal. You cannot do a tattoo removal of that size on your face without looking like you went through you're a burn victim.
Did Gucci ever get the ice cream cone removed?
Yeah, they probably cover it up.
Okay.
I forgot he had that. Gucci looks good too. He's in shape. He's taking care of his mentals and
a rapper. I will never, ever, 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 ever like any of his songs. I don't care how much he had to do with the culture. I am not a Gucci Mane fan. Never will be.
Why?
This trash. And here's the thing: is that back when he was coming out, there were people like me that remembered that he was trash. And now there's people that 10 years have gone by. There's this nostalgic factor. Nah, the nigga was trash. So I don't understand. Like, yeah, is everybody biting the trash? Okay, but he was trash when he came out.
Well, I mean, not to me and my fellow friends.
No, it was to you and your fellow friends. Y'all like to get high, get drunk, and listen to Gucci because it was some ignorant ass shit to put you in the mood.
I never got high, sir. So in college.
Fine. You were the designated driver who put the Gucci Man on the radio station so all your boys got.
We would play video games.
You thought about it.
No, we played video games.
The Gucci Man?
Yeah.
He was never very good.
We played Madden or college. What was college football? Whenever that game used to be out.
Is this at UMD?
Yeah. Play college football and play Gucci.
I want to put this on a loop for anyone that thinks about going to University of Maryland, so they don't go to University of Maryland because that's
not like it's a bad school.
I'm not saying it's a bad school. I'm saying that you can go get an education. You will have no fun because you're going to be playing Mario Kart, listening to Gucci Man. And
that sounds awesome, if we're being honest.
Yeah, like I had fucking fun, so whatever.
Unless you're intoxicated or high while doing such things, I'm sorry. That's not. That was not my bag. That was not my bag 10 years ago.
It's expensive as hell.
Jesus, it's more than 10 years ago now. Jesus,
yeah, it's 15 years ago.
All right, moving on to, since we got the whole YouTuber stuff out the way.
We're YouTubers. Let's fight. Do you think we could take on any one of us three? Who has the best shot of taking on Jake Paul?
You answer that question.
Huh? I think me just because of my weight. But what are you thinking?
Well, I mean,
I can take a hit.
How many rounds y'all going?
With the same rules as what they had with Nate.
All right. How many rounds do you think you can last?
Dude, that's a lot of cardio.
I'm getting disqualified round one because I'm gonna be like, I am not running around this goddamn ring chasing your ass. I'm just going to tackle him outside the ring.
So this topic should be Kadeen versus Jake Paul. You're calling them out. All right.
Yeah, you and your brother looking at fucking dead bodies in Japan. Come bring it, bitch. This YouTube page got you. Got you, motherfucker. Come on, bring it. I ain't no KSI. I ain't no Nate Robinson. I'll take your ass out. I'm also 300 pounds. Watch yourself, nigga. Watch yourself.
All right,
you just call us the N-word? Awesome.
That's two. That's 2 times today. That's 2 times, Booker T. That's 2 times. All right. So, moving on to the NFL.
The Booker T references, that's my all-time favorite line you've ever had in this one.
And Bad Bunny had a song called Booker T, and he had Booker T on at the end. That's hilarious. Ravens and COVID. I know, Kadeen, you have some thoughts on it. I'll let you have the floor first.
I'm going to take it a little bit out. I'm going to go outside of it. Like the Ravens, as far as their COVID situation, is probably the worst that we've seen across the league as far as the way that it's infected an entire team. But also, we're recording this on Sunday after the 1 o'clock games. Earlier, we've seen Denver goes into a matchup with no quarterbacks active because everybody tests positive for COVID. And this is only – what?
Nah. The QBs were around the person without mask.
Sorry. Whatever. I get what you – I understood. So they did test positive for COVID, but they have to be
high risk,
quarantined or whatever for the.
So they don't have any quarterbacks active.
They're in containment. So they have no quarterbacks active because of COVID and what it is that COVID's doing as a whole. But as far as the prevalence of COVID on a team, we haven't seen anything like what's happening in Baltimore. Now, look, investigations are going to happen. Right now, we already pretty much know what happens, which is the strength coach for the Ravens, Steve Saunders, is the name that everybody keeps throwing around. Who, if I've showed the guys on the group, and if you want to, go hop on his Twitter. This dude's been an anti-mask proponent of having sports come back in the fall.
Let them play. Let us play.
Right. Hashtag let them play bullshit, which kind of shows you that he didn't really respect this thing. Now, he tests positive for COVID. I don't know the nitty-gritty on if he test positive and then came into the facility and still did his shit, but he was showing symptoms beyond anything as far as testing positive. He was showing symptoms, not wearing his mask, being in the meetings, being everywhere, and also not wearing his tracking device and not doing proper remittance as far as just making sure that he wasn't getting everybody else sick. So the Ravens have taken it into their own hands as far as disciplining him. I don't know if it's been publicized as far as what the disciplines themselves are for him, but the Ravens organization itself has disciplined Steve Saunders, which when you look at the league is kind of taking a step back and saying, all right, well, you guys did X, Y, and Z. I think there's going to be more of an investigation that comes out as far as what the organization itself did, but I stand firm the same way that I did when it came to the Tennessee Titans, the same way it came when it came to the Las Vegas Raiders. if it comes down that there was a culture within the organization that did not respect this or do what it is that they needed to do, I think the hammer needs to come down. Tennessee end up coming to find out it wasn't anything that they were doing as far as breaking any protocols. It was bad luck more than anything else. Understood them not getting punished at that level. Vegas, they showed a history in the organization of not doing what it is they need to do, so they deserve to get punished. Baltimore, if this is some lone fucking biological, basically warfare asshole because of his stupidity, I can understand not wanting to come down the entire team. I get it. But what I do have a problem with when it comes to the league is this preferential treatment that they are giving the Ravens when it comes to this game. Right now, this game has been pushed back to Tuesday at 8 o'clock to make sure that the Ravens can get what it is they need to get done to put a product out on the field when other teams have not necessarily been afforded the exact same opportunity. You look at Denver is, like we said, is playing today without a quarterback. You had San Francisco that had X amount of players that were down. They still got forced to play. And you have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the other end of it, who they are playing, who have had to change up their schedule, not only for the Tennessee Titans earlier this year, but now here for these guys, to which their bye week is pretty much non-existent. And all they got to do is, like, not complaining, just go on for another week. I think what the league is doing right now, look, I think what you're saying right now is that we shouldn't have played, kind of is what's coming out. But now that we have, the league needs to do a better job of being transparent in their decision-making process as far as how it is that they're allowing certain teams to put a product on the field that is going to be inferior if they have some guys and how they're letting some teams play and letting other teams sit back for a few days. It's bullshit.
I think, and I'm not sure of this, so I know at least in terms of the punishment is sort of fits the crime, and that if they see a pattern of a team shirking the rules, the punishments are higher, like losing draft picks, fines, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the games go, I haven't read up too much into why Denver's game didn't get pushed, but my assumption is I think you have to petition the league for it. I don't think the league does it automatically.
I feel like they do because they move our game forward, and we didn't want that.
Well, I mean, for maybe just to move the game in terms of time. But also, I think this opens up to the possibility that there's going to be a Week 18 just because this is going to get worse, as just like the rest of the country, and they're going to have to add an 18th week, whether the teams like it or not, just to make sure that everybody's safe and that the NFL can put a half-decent product on the field. And I understand why the teams are upset, and I especially understand why the Steelers are upset. But, I mean, the alternative is you just build in another bye week somewhere and add an 18th week. I mean, the alternative is to cancel the season. And the NFL doesn't give a fuck about, all they want is their revenue. So that's not it doesn't seem like something they do. They'd probably rather extend the season.
Well, I think the big thing that's going to come out of today is what's happening in Denver, because what you're seeing out of Denver is that, like you guys said, it wasn't anybody necessarily tested. There was somebody that tested positive, but it wasn't necessarily the players and the quarterbacks themselves that tested positive. But
it was Driscoll. It was their backup quarterback.
All right. So the thing with Denver is that one of the things that the league has been saying, especially after I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, started saying with the numbers going up, we're going to make these rules a little harsher, is that indoor closed door meetings is supposed to be something that doesn't happen. But with the Denver Broncos, what they're saying at the story that just broke on Pro Football Talk a couple hours ago is that the Denver Broncos petitioned in writing from the league an exception to doing these meetings. So if you have that and they have the proof that the league sanctioned this, I think you're about to see some dominoes start to fall. Because if the league said that they were okay with it in one face of this, compared to all you got to do is ask permission to basically shirk COVID rules, what's the point?
Right. No, and I think if we know the NFL, it's the NFL has these guidelines. These are the guidelines that they published and they gave to the public to show how they're trying to make sure everybody's safe and healthy. But then you can go and petition the NFL to not follow these rules kind of under the radar, and then people are shocked when whole, teams have COVID Well, if the NFL's sanctioning it, how are they giving out, $1 million fines to teams? It just doesn't. If the rule, if the rules are the same for everybody, which it doesn't seem like they are, then that shouldn't be the case. It's so tough this year because we're not seeing everything. Most things are not above board for the, casual viewer or even the fanatic. So, if you have 20 players that test positive for COVID, is that the benchmark at which you get, your game postponed or forfeited? Or I don't know what the benchmarks are, and they're not telling us.
Well,
So I don't know why the Ravens didn't forfeit their game.
Well,
is there a reason? Is there a benchmark?
The biggest thing that I've seen on Twitter from like reporters and everything else was the fact that this situation is somewhat ongoing. Like, people were continuously testing positive, so you can't put them on the field. With everything else so far, it was deemed contained. Right?
Oh, yeah, this is uncontained, is what you're saying.
Right.
So they couldn't even field a team because they would have to continue to test players?
Right, because each day people were testing positive. There wasn't a day where people weren't testing positive. So every other situation, from what I'm being told, is the fact that the teams, like, it was looked at as contained. This one is just an outbreak, like a legit outbreak.
This is the thing. Before the season started, when I was harping here on the podcast, they shouldn't play. Is it what I told everybody to look out for is that you're going to have the league is going to come down really hard on these teams, even though because of the way that COVID itself works, as long as you're playing these games, as long as these guys are moving around, there's no way to keep everybody 100% safe. Even if you are following the protocols, you could do everything correct when it comes to COVID. The moment you leave your house, sometimes it doesn't even have to be you leave your house. If you've got bad ventilation in your apartment building, you could still be doing everything right and still catch this thing. But as long as you're in a situation where you have a bunch of other players that you're going to be around in proximity, whether that is in meetings or on the field or on the sidelines, there's no way to completely eradicate this thing. Now, I think the league right now has been fairly lucky in the sense of, like, the Ravens being the bad outbreak. They have this guy that they can pretty much blame in Steve Saunders. But it's still it's an untenable situation. And right now, with the numbers that you're seeing as far as COVID, the only reason the numbers aren't skyrocketing off the page for us is because it's Thanksgiving, and the days after Thanksgiving, they're not doing the testing at the same clip that they would usually do. And a lot of these places aren't even reporting their numbers. But next week, when you start seeing the 2,000 plus deaths a day, because we already hit that mark, when you start seeing around Christmas 3,000 deaths a day, and it's just that the testing isn't going up. We're not testing more people. It's just the spread is going so far. And there's most people that you talk to on a day in and day out basis have not got tested ever. So I'm just saying that it's uncontrolled spread across the entire country. And you have a league trying to put their best face on it because they know that they were being selfish in playing in the first place. So they're going to look to pass the buck however it is they can pass it. Yeah. The only thing the league's doing that they're getting away with is the fact that some of these organizations, the Raiders and the Ravens, have been dumb enough in some of the things they do, or some of the people in the organization have given them a scot-free card.
Yeah. And I think, like, I know a lot of people, like, traveled for Thanksgiving, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're taking a calculated risk to see family. I've heard some horror stories already from friends of mine whose Thanksgivings turned into, who had it last weekend. Their Thanksgivings turned into the Rose Garden, and now their whole family has it. So it's one of those things. I don't think people, unless it's like in their backyard or like, you think you're invincible until everything goes wrong. So I imagine that we're probably going to get a full season, but it's going to take a bunch of left turns and possibly an 18th week for the first time. So we'll see.
Guys, Tyreek Hill has over 200 yards receiving.
Yeah, I just watched him.
2 touchdowns in the first quarter.
I just watched him catch another 70-yard touchdown. He did a backflip into the end zone because there was no coverage.
Yeah, I'm playing Patrick Mahomes in my fantasy league.
I'm playing Tyreek Hill and Pat Mahomes.
So we've lost. I'm not making the playoffs in my fantasy league.
I'm going to make the playoffs, but this week is this week is not going to help.
Well, the reason I keep looking to the left is that everyone in my fantasy football league is calling me right now to tell me how much I lost.
Oh, wait, is this the league you won a couple straight years?
It's the league. I've been in one league, the League of Extraordinary Nobodies, since I was in the 10th grade.
The resident Bucks fan of my friends group is upset. He's upset.
Yeah, they're down 17-0.
Yeah, he's texting me. Nah, he said 203 yards in the first quarter. Fire all these N-words. Oh, that's funny. All right. Speaking of firing people, Matt Patricia.
Adam Gase?
No, false alarm.
Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. They were fired early this week. I was going to go into the Broncos situation, but we kind of stumbled onto that. Speaking of that, Ryan, how are the Broncos doing right now at the QB position?
So, I'm getting from everybody is Tyreek Hill stat line, just inundated with text. So, as of 10 seconds ago, with 4 minutes to go in the second quarter, Hinton, the quarterback for Denver, is 0 for 6 with 0 yards. So it's going well. But they're only
run the ball.
They're only down 7-0. So
let's see how that continues to go. So do you guys even care that Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were fired?
So here's the only reason I care. Is one, Adam Gase still has a job.
Yep.
And two, it seems it's like, you know how they're like the coaching trees and then the branches off the coaching trees, and then they, some flourish and some don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the correct stat. Only 2 out of the 8 head coaches coming from the Belichick coaching tree have ever had a winning record. So I don't know if that's their inability to replicate the Belichick coaching style or coaching efficiency as much as some other coaches. But it just, it's kind of a shocking stat when you think of Coach Belichick. That's a good question. I know
one is Vrabel.
I just feel like maybe coming from possibly the greatest coach of all time, it's shocking that like people who are mentored under him don't go on and have, at least semi-successful coaching or, coordinator careers.
I feel like it just takes some time though.
Well, Lions are bad.
Well, McDaniels went to Denver, and I think they had a winning record at one point.
And then he went. Then he went back.
Yeah, and then Vrabel had a winning record with Tennessee. I think this year Flores from Miami is going to have a winning record.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the time of the old school Bill Belichick disciples and the Romeo Canals and those guys is gone.
I'm sure he had a winning record too at some point.
Not that. He probably leading up very shortly. I think if I'm not mistaken, Romeo Canal in that Cleveland, that might have been like that Phantom Peyton Hillish year. That was weird, but I don't think because they were riding around with a few guys when they had Jason Campbell for that period of time, and then he got hurt and all kinds of stuff. It was just awkward. But the reason I care about the Matt Patricia thing, I think, so much is that after hearing Matt Patricia a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago at this point, talking about when he took over the Detroit Lions and how basically the cupboard was bare and what it is he had to do as far as the team to get them on a better track. And all that I took out of that was that Matt Patricia making excuses for himself and basically throwing Jim Caldwell under the bus as far as what Jim Caldwell did with the organization. If you look at Jim Caldwell, he started off with an 11-5 team. He had a 7-9 season to go after that, and then 2 back-to-back 9-7 seasons. I'm sorry, but if we're looking at that overall, compare it to the 6-10 season that Matt Patricia started with, followed up with the 3-12 in one season that he then followed that one up with, compared to this season, them being 4-7. Under no circumstances can Matt Patricia ever look at that team and say that he did anything to make them any better. He didn't. Yep. He didn't make the team any better. I think a lot of people – I fall victim to this too. Sometimes when you got those brash defensive kind of guys, the in-your-face kind of rah-rah-rah guys, you feel as though they might be a better coach than they actually are sometimes. Because at the end of the day, when you got the Jim Caldwells, who are more along the lines like Tony Dungy's, which is the quiet, get shit done kind of guys, they don't necessarily ring out as much as some of these other guys. When you got like the Rex Ryans of the world, who everybody kind of treats with this aura of specialty when they're not really getting the job done. Matt Patricia and what the Detroit Lions have been one of the most frustrating franchises in the history of any sports to look at, in the sense of some of the talent that they've had go through those doors there, and they haven't been able to do anything.
I mean, Matt Stafford and Megatron is all you have to say. Like,
and Barry.
Well, yeah, and
Barry before that.
Barry Sanders.
Matt Stafford in recent times, Matt Stafford and Megatron, just in a vacuum, should be a playoff contending team every fucking year.
When Reggie Bush was there in the backfield, they had something. Like there was a lot of times where you look at Detroit, and like at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of people like me, football heads, that always look at the NFC North and look at the talent that they have on the field and be like, all right, this is going to be Detroit's year. It never happens. And
it's so frustrating.
And the thing is, the closest they've gotten, if I'm looking at I'm looking at their records over the entire history of the team since 2001. They've gotten to double digits wins twice. Once in 2011 under Jim Schwartz, and the other time in 2014 under Jim Caldwell. If you're looking at winning seasons, anything above 8, other than the Jim Schwartz year, you have the 3 years with Jim Caldwell. That's it. That's literally it. So you have an organization, no matter how much it is that they – look, if you want to talk about early 2000s with Matt Millen fucking over that team with the terrible draft picks, the Charles Rogerses and all that kind of stuff, all right, I'm with you. But they have had talent walk through those doors over the last 7-8 years that are not Matt Millen's fault. And they do fall right there squarely at whoever the head coach is and whoever it is, the GM. And I don't blame Jim Caldwell all the way through with having a GM not get the guys that you need to get done, usually on the defensive side of the ball, to get the job done. And now you have this coach who, regardless of whoever it is that they have on the field, can't get it done. Because who they have, didn't they draft Jeff Okudah?
Yeah.
They have some pieces in certain
They
places.
had Darius Slay as well, but then Patricia ran him out.
You see what I'm saying?
Okudah's been injured, I believe.
Okudah's been injured.
Just got injured.
If you had a situation where you had
injured on and off,
there is under no circumstances where you could have a situation where Darius Slay could have lined up on the opposite side of the field with Jeff Okudah, and you have Matt Stafford there on the offensive side of the ball, and not be able to scrounge up a winning season.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inexcusable.
And here's the thing, and I think it shows in my, like, even in my NFL picks, when I look at the Lions on paper and I see them against an average team, in my head, the Lions should be able to win, and they just don't. And I can't. And there's the only rationale for that is ineffective coaching, because the talent that they have to put on the field is better than most other teams in the NFL, and they're
Especially
just not
offense.
producing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got shut out. They got shut out.
Sick.
It's you can't. It's not even a defensive issue at that point. Obviously, with the amount of offensive firepower they have,
there's no reason
to put up a goose egg is embarrassing, and that's the end of it.
You got Matt Stafford behind center. Look, Matt Stafford, regardless of Matt Stafford's going to be when everything looks. He's going to be one of those guys that we're going to be looking at as Hall of Fame bubble, regardless of whatever it is you think about him. He's going to be on the bubble. He's not going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame. We all know that. But he's going to be one of those guys that you kind of look at. But if you look at the backfield, DeAndre Swift, Adrian Peterson, Kerryon Johnson, then you look at the wide receivers, Danny Amendola, Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay. Get the fuck out of here.
Galladay's been injured like a lot.
Regardless of the injuries,
Matt Stafford could be throwing at a pillow. And he should score at least 14 points.
As I've seen again today, if your line's not playing well, it don't matter.
Look, I'm sorry, but if you're looking at the Washington football team, we're not a great team. I'll give you that. But there's no reason we should have the same record of Detroit Lions, especially even if you're looking at the offensive line stuff. If you look at the Washington offensive line, the only person that we have that's worth any grain of salt is Brandon Sheriff. But then if you look at PFF, Pro Football Focus, we are consistently graded one of the highest offensive lines in the league Why? Because we do what we need to do on an offense to make sure we placate the offensive line. Get the ball out quickly. Do what you need to do to get the ball out of the backfield. That's the reason Antonio Gibson's getting so many catches out of the backfield. If you have DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, and Adrian Peterson, you can't tell me you can't throw the ball out of the backfield to give Matt Stafford some more time to get things going, because all those guys are yak guys, and you can't. There's no excuse.
Ineffective coaching.
Yeah, and he's only been sacked 30 times this year, so it's not like he's getting mashed.
Yeah,
that's less than 3 sacks a game. So it's just there's a shakeup that needed to be done, and I know there's a bunch of very talented, underappreciated coordinators, and
man, he scored again. Tyreek Hill, oh my god.
Tyreek Hill's going to get 300 yards today.
No, he's at 300.
Is he already at 300?
They were at the 50, so I have to assume that.
Well, he rushed it, like he ran it in this time.
I've been saying Kansas City's going to. What did I say about Kansas City? Light switch.
Yeah.
And they decided it's time to play.
And then fucking Kansas City was like, "Oh, big matchup against the Bucks," and they were like, "No."
Kansas City is a light switch team. They can decide to turn it on. If you're talking about early on in the season, they don't care. You can see it on Patrick Mahomes' face. As much as y'all James was even trying to tell me, no, he was trying. He's
Pat
not.
Mahomes is the LeBron of the NFL. He just starts playing when it matters.
When it matters. He flips it on and he's like, I'm going lights out now. And you can't stop them.
Pittsburgh is 10-0. They won't be. They won't be undefeated. And
Did they play Kansas City?
It doesn't matter. Well, they will have to eventually, won't they?
True. Well,
I'm saying, if you're talking about if Kansas City puts it in place, there is no place in the NFL, COVID or not, that I don't want to play more than the Arrowhead. You all right, James?
Yeah.
Oh, shout out my boy.
I don't like everything right now.
Shout out to my boy Joey Sly. He missed the would-be game-winning field goal for the Panthers, but he hit it all of 60 yards.
They didn't give him the touchdown, I don't think.
Saints are up 14-0. God, Denver's got to do something. Why don't they put they should just put a lineman in at quarterback. This would be hard to bring down at least.
No.
They just need to. If I'm the Denver Broncos in this game today, I'm running the ball and punting and just hoping to go home without injuries.
They literally have not run the ball at all.
There's no reason to try to do anything stupid if you're Denver at this point. Just go home.
Seven carries.
An injury.
7 carries is all they have.
Dude, or I might just line up and hope that I might punt on first down and hope my defense gets something done. Like, just tire out the offense.
No, it's probably a flag.
Like, just bear with me on this. If this is flawed logic, okay?
Okay.
Punting on first down, like nonstop.
Why?
Or just
let New Orleans just tire themselves out with scoring, and then hope that you can come back in some sort of way.
I would almost take.
No, you can't, because then that defense is going to be.
Then the fact that your team is just going to be. Your defense is going to be gassed, not just for this week, but for next week too.
Just take a knee and let the clock run down. Let your defense recover on the sidelines and then punt.
Yeah, or that. That's what I'm saying. It's like
don't even throw the ball.
Don't throw the ball. Just run it. Hope that you can get something with the runs. A lot of wildcat stuff, and then punt.
It doesn't make any sense.
You're not going to win or forfeit and go home.
Having a practice squad wide receiver play quarterback is not making any sense.
Hey, he was a quarterback at Wake. He wasn't terrible. And he's throwing a touchdown pass.
They tried to get permission for their quality control coach to play QB.
One of the funny things I saw was when they first started discussing before the season, there was like a running joke within the Raiders org. Or the reporters around the Raiders that they should like leave Nate Peterson or Peterman like in like a hotel in like Vegas, just stay there, just in case.
It's not a terrible idea.
No, you should have one quarterback who practices far away from everybody else.
Or you don't hold in-person team meetings.
I mean, every team did it, but.
No, they didn't. That's what the point with the Denver Broncos is that they asked the league for permission to do.
Are you talking about now?
Yeah, now.
Like this year. Yeah, I'm saying like throughout the year, like every team did it.
No, throughout the year, I think what you usually do is that, I mean, you can't pick up somebody off a waiver or off the free agency and have them start that quickly. But I think it also speaks to just going back to the Denver thing. I think you're the one.
Shit. Like, just give him that big ass wristband and say, hey, this is the play. Like, this is what you need to do. Or, like, ask him what he's comfortable with. And then you just
that's what they're doing.
Your offense around it.
That's what they're doing now.
Not with the receiver, with someone who actually throw the ball.
Kendall Hinton completed a pass.
Hey!
To the Saints.
Oh. Damn. All right. All right. So the biggest news of this week is the passing of Maradona.
Oh.
I was shocked. Very distraught.
I was not shocked, but I was sad.
I was shocked.
I mean, he has been in extremely poor health and doing – I mean, let's be honest. He's drinking a ton and he's doing a lot of drugs, and he's 60 years old. Like, well, it's not good.
I don't know if you knew about this part, Ryan, but the family was petitioned in regards to the medication that he was prescribed, like after his surgery, like about a month ago. And I think today, his doctor's office was raided. They took all the medical like stuff because they're saying like it's possible manslaughter.
He get Michael Jackson's?
Possibly. That's what they're saying because of the stuff that they were giving him. The family was concerned that it wasn't the proper shit he needed to be taking.
Wait, that's what they were concerned about? Not him doing cocaine and drinking like a handle of liquor every day?
When's the last time he did cocaine? Do you know? No. Do I know? No.
The World Cup, definitely. And that wasn't that
long
long
ago. Was that?
I mean, like a couple of years ago. He was in his late 50s. I'm just saying, he's not been healthy. They had to sedate him because he was so addicted to alcohol that he was going into shock. Mm-hmm. I would be, if this is a medical malpractice issue, I would be shocked if that was the cause of death.
Have they released the cause of death?
Heart attack. But he was also just in the hospital.
No, but then there's also the fact that
brain bleed.
Yeah, but then there's also the fact that his lawyer was talking about, like, he brought up something about how it took the ambulance way too long to get there. So there's a bunch of shit that's going on right now.
Look, it sounds like to me, and I'm not going to claim to be the biggest Maradona fan or anything, but I will say that as somebody who's very much a layman when it comes to soccer, there are a couple names that everybody knows. You know Pele, you know Maradona, you know these names. I think right now you're running into the same sort of situation where you have somebody who's as beloved a figure that around a cause of death, there's always a want or a desire to make sense of it. Whether it be that it's self-inflicted over a period of years and this just makes sense or whatever. I think regardless of it is that the fact that when you reach this particular point as an icon around the world, which I don't think either one of you are disputing that aspect of things.
We're Maradona fans.
You get to a point where you have people that might debate what happened, this, that, and the other. It doesn't change the fact that it happened.
Yeah, and I don't know shit.
I think what it is right now is just the legacy of a guy like that. When you see that, look, I don't follow a single solitary motherfucking thing about soccer on my Twitter. And I'll tell you right now, that entire goddamn day, there was nothing but stuff about him and the legacy and how amazing he was and how he did this and how he did that. And rest in peace to the dude. He seemed as though if there's anything more, if there's one thing that you could say about him that I think is universally acclaimed or universally accepted, he lived life to the fullest. Yeah. He lived life like it was his last day every day. And I think that if anybody could go and talk to him right now, regardless of where he is, his spirit or what have you, he's going to look you dead in the eye and say, no regrets. I had fun. It is what it is.
For sure. I mean,
I don't know, but I I do want to bring up two things that happened today. So Napoli won 4-0 today against Roma. That was his his biggest moments were at Napoli. Well, between that and obviously the Argentine national team. But other than that, today Barcelona won and Messi scored. And when he scored, he took off his jersey and it was Maradona's jersey. I got fucking goosebumps.
That was pretty sweet. Wait,
yeah, it's still
because Messi scored or because of the jersey?
No, the jersey. The goal was great, of course, but him taking off the jersey and you can see the pain in his face, and when he looks up to the sky, he always looks up to the sky when he scores. Like he does the two fingers up or whatever, but this time it was more like that, and yeah, it was nice.
And good for Barca for coming home with a win.
Yeah, finally. All right, Ryan, do you have anything else that you want to add to Maradona?
No, just some of the most iconic World Cup moments of all time. His dribbling skills were probably unsurpassed. I don't think when he was on at 100%, you weren't stopping him. And just watching him play, it was so easy, or it looked easy. I'm sure he worked really hard, but
they were trying to kill him.
It looked so easy when he played. And that was back in the days when
they were trying to kill him.
that was back in the day where they weren't rolling around on the ground when they got fouled. They were getting murdered. People were taking legs out. But yeah, he was just super. Yeah. He's one of the greatest of all time. I have him at number one. It's debatable. People have Pelé at number one, but I think across the board.
Who's the other name?
Huh?
Who's the other name that people have at number one?
I don't know.
Wow. Okay. That's what we're doing.
Shouldn't be Messi.
It should be. Because it kind of is. But continue.
And Pelé.
He never won for. They won with Argentina.
That. So, look at the rest of his team.
Just saying.
Okay.
Well, dude, Maradona's teams weren't great. He was great. But anyway, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I hope his family. I hope this investigation shows that there was no wrongdoing and.
Yeah, because if it is, then that's a whole nother issue.
A whole nother bag of worms. But yeah, Rest in peace. And I
love to see the different tributes that people are doing for him.
I know Napoli's they were thinking about changing the name of their stadium for
they should
Maradona related. So that would be cool to see.
And that reminds me, one of the new candidates for the president of Barcelona said that if he wins, he's going to change the name of Camp Nou to Camp Nou Messi. As he should.
Building that team.
Yep. And then one of the final things for today was the F1 happened this morning, and I think it was on the first lap in turn 3. Romain Grosjean had a horrific crash to where the damn car split in two.
Car's in two pieces.
And then the car just instantly blew up in flames, partly because it was so early in the race and the car was fucking
full of gas, yeah.
Yeah, and then the batteries are back there. Everything just blew up so quickly, and he was still inside. When I first saw that, actually, I was like, damn. And then I'm looking, I'm like, wait. Oh shit, he's still in the car.
Where else would he be?
It's a hell of a
video. No, I thought he was out.
Oh, no.
I thought he was out running. No, he was still in the car.
When he rose from the car like a fucking phoenix.
Yeah. Good Lord.
I was 100% sure he was dead.
There were a lot of people that were complaining about F1 when it came to the halos that they were putting around the car.
The halo system, yep.
There's also just the technology that's gone as far as motorsports. Because, I can't tell you that I'm the biggest F1 fan of all time, but I was a huge NASCAR fan. And when NASCAR, over a period of time, everybody was really upset with what they call the car of tomorrow. And there were a lot of devices and other things they were attaching to these drivers, especially after the death of Dale Earnhardt. And you see the way that they do these things with the track, state-of-the-art, that allow the walls to get to compress a bit or expand to dissipate the energy and the damage. And at every turn that they've ever tried to do something like that, there are always the traditionalists and the diehards that talk about how, hey, this is taken away from the motorsport, this is taken away from the history and the tradition of this, that, and the other. And it's all horse shit.
Look, yeah, shit changes.
Shit changes, and we have to if we have the ability to make things safer and still have it be competitive, why in the world would you ever fight against those things?
Mm-hmm.
If this was 5 or 6 years ago, that gentleman today is not walking
dead.
away from that accident.
Yeah.
You see it happen all the time. There are so many accidents that we see that happen in motorsports every year that if it was 5 or 6 years ago, the death toll would have been Lord knows how much. And I think it's actually created a situation where you have these drivers actually be more competitive because they know the cars and the situation I'm in, I have a certain level of safety and security that allow me to push even harder. And I think that's made the sports more competitive compared to what the traditionalists kind of thought about it, which is that you need to have death hanging over your head in order to make you compete at a certain level.
Yeah, and it's also like, what's the argument against having airbags in your car? Like, it's not, the spirit of the sport is not the danger. It's
right.
It's the speed and the skill of the drivers in their cars. And for someone to try and make the argument that it's taking away from the sport itself doesn't appreciate the sport to begin with. So I don't value it. So
agreed.
Take a fucking hike. But that being said, I think this shows how far we've come from, the Dale Earnhardt era in terms of ensuring the safety of the driver comes above winning the race. Like in a regular Honda, hitting the wall like that, you're dead for 100% sure. And the fact that he's able not only to walk away from the crash, but to walk away from being engulfed in flames.
I think with broken ribs.
Yeah, I mean,
that's and some burns.
Yeah,
I think that's shocking. I hope he makes a full recovery. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be back out there. But
we'll see, because I don't know. Like, I will tell you right now, I give that man all the credit in the world if he ever gets back one of those goddamn cars, because I know I couldn't do it at all.
I mean, they're already a little bit crazy for driving around.
I totaled a pickup truck right before the Delaware Memorial Bridge. Hit a tractor trailer. It took me a good 6 months to ever feel comfortable behind the wheel of a car again. Now I'm back, but Lord knows, even to this day, when I'm driving sometimes on the highway around those trucks, you tense up a little bit waiting for that impact again.
I got hit by an 18-wheeler, and I was driving like as soon as my car was fixed.
How'd it feel?
I mean, to be honest, when I had the accident, right after I got hit, I was laughing. Like, people.
Yeah, I wasn't laughing at it from me.
No. But I'm saying people deal with trauma differently.
Yeah, some people are psychopaths, which is what you're showing that you are.
All right, well, fuck you. Going back to it, the last that F2 driver died last year, Antoine Hubert, I believe that's what his name was. He died in F2 races, like their races on Saturday, and Formula One's is on Sunday, and they raced damn near on the same track, I believe. I believe they race on the exact same track.
Kind of like NASCAR. You have the B series compared to the Top Dogs.
Like, seeing all the drivers react to that, and the F1 drivers are there on the track, with all the doing all the interviews and stuff. And I remember seeing, I believe it was Lewis Hamilton doing an interview about tomorrow, and then the crash happened. And you can see his reaction live time. And then I believe the last driver to die I see is David Ferreira, who's also French, in September of 2017. So I mean, it's not a safe sport.
No, it's not safe.
No, it's not safe. It's just.
I'm not saying you guys are saying it's safe.
It's got to be as safe as you can make it. That's
right.
It.
They're continuously putting in measures to make things as safe as they can be. At the end of the day, you're going 250 miles
yeah.
In a car. So if you instantly stop, you know what I mean? So
it's not the speed that gets you. It's the stopping really sudden.
Yep. I'm glad he was able to actually run out of there. And he said he's sort of okay. That was his update on Instagram. So
we'll see what the doctors soon, we'll see what the doctor's prognosis is.
Right. Just get well soon, man.
Yeah, man.
Take your time. All right. Well, I'll go first in my final thoughts because it's Like, I don't really have too much.
I do.
David Caldwell just got fired as the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars just now. So it says he was at that role since 2013 or 2003. 2013. Damn. That's all I got.
Hold on, Tom Coughlin's out, right? As far as team press,
I don't know.
I think he's out. I think he ousted last year. It's about time. Shad Khan needs to clean house there, and because what it is that Jacksonville had a few years ago, as far as that defense, and the look at the shell of what that team is now, is inexcusable. And
you saw it, but his son was arguing with Ngakoue. Do you remember that part? Yeah, that was terrible. And they traded all their good players away for a bunch of scraps.
Ryan, do you want to go last?
Yeah, I'll go last.
All right, since this is blatant disrespect from our host, James, I think we all need to tip our hats to the Washington football team.
Go ahead.
And what it is that we did on Thanksgiving by sweeping them straight up baby back cow bitches.
Hey, wait, hold on. Before you finish, I'm going to give you your full amount of time. But I sent you the list. You could have reminded me that wasn't on there. So
I didn't read it.
Look, what I'm saying is the Washington football team transcends any one of your lists. It should be universally acclaimed and respected as far as
we'll talk about them next week too.
Look, 41-16, complete knockout, slobber knocker, blowout fest.
For real.
The scariest defensive line in the NFL belongs to my hometown team. It is what it is.
The Baltimore Ravens?
The Baltimore Ravens do not have a more fearsome defensive line than the Washington football team does. And you can see that by the fact that we have the number one ranked pass defense and our secondary is trash. So when we're talking, and not to mention probably one of the best guys, if not the best guy on the defensive line is Matt Ioannidis, who hasn't even been playing because he got hurt in week 1 or 2 of this year. So I don't want to hear this shit. Not to mention you got Chase Young, who's a rookie, who's about to look, all I'm saying is that football games are won in the trenches, as you were talking about when it came to offensive line play when we're talking about the Detroit Lions. Right now, if you look at Pro Football Focus, what we're doing on the offensive line because of our scheming needs to be respected. Not to mention as far as young talent in this league, I tell you right now, if you're looking at a wide receiver running back combo between Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson, you're going to be hard-pressed to find 2 guys that are younger that are better than him, that are better than that duo in this league. Look, Alex Smith is not doing any world-beating stuff right now. He's kind of doing what it is that they used to claim that he was just a game manager. And trust me, that's all we really need right now. I look at this team and I say that we got the building blocks to do something special going forward as long as we continue to build on what it is we have. You look at the next year's draft, if we don't go to quarterback route, which I'm not completely sold on going the quarterback route if you can't get one of the top 2 or 3 guys, to continue to add to that defense and to add another receiving threat. Also, I'd like to make a formal apology to Logan Thomas. I said that your hands are made of bricks. While you are not – no one will ever be remiss in thinking you have stick 'em on your glove, sir. It was a nice ball that you threw, throwback to the Virginia Tech days, and it was a nice catch that you got in the end zone. So I tip my hat off to you. I'm rooting for you hardcore. I think you're a great dude. I just want you to be more sure with your hands. But I love what I'm seeing from the Washington football team. And hopefully, I don't really care about winning the division because the division is trash and whoever ends up making the playoffs is out. But I will say maybe it's a little bit of hometown bias in me that makes me think that if you put that defensive line in the playoffs when the weather starts getting a little rough, if we can start rattling some quarterbacks, who knows what happens in this crazy COVID year. And that's my Washington football team route. As far as my final thoughts, I do want to say that as much as we were celebrating in Washington, D.C., the aspect of what it is that we did to them cow bitches on Thanksgiving, I'd be remiss if I didn't mark the 13th anniversary of Sean Taylor's death on November 27th. That week was one of the saddest, if not the saddest I've ever experienced in my life. I would never forget it. I spent some time, as I think most Washington football team fans, or maybe any football fans did, watching Sean Taylor highlights. Look, while he's not a Hall of Famer just because he didn't play as much, I can't see anybody whose film is more impressive than his for that short amount of time that he played. And Lord knows, I just think about, like, if he could have continued to play, he might not have been playing right now. He might have retired because he'd be 16 years in. But Lord knows he could have done some extreme damage if he would have been able to continue playing in this league. Also, keeping it local, I want to do a congratulations to another sad story, but it not necessarily a happy ending, but an ending that something that is long overdue. Len Bias has been inducted into the Collegiate Basketball Hall of Fame.
Nice.
Which is long overdue. Len Bias, if you don't know, I don't even know if you're a sports fan, what he was and what he could have been and how it could have changed the entire trajectory of the NBA. If you're talking about beloved figures in this area that I'm from, Washington, D.C., Len Bias is on that Mount Rushmore as far as guys and what it is they could have done to potential. And I think that's the saddest part about looking at this week when it comes to Len Bias and Sean Taylor is just the missed opportunity and missed potential. But hopefully shit like that will cease to happen as often as it does, and we'll be able to see people live up to their full extent and abilities and to show us all just how truly special they are for a very long time without being snatched away. And in order to make sure that doesn't happen, wear your goddamn mask and stay the fuck home and don't catch COVID or any of this other bullshit because it's killing entirely too many people. And it's not just old people that are catching it. It's young people too. So please stay safe because it's already extremely dangerous out here, and it's only going to get more dangerous as time goes on. I'm done.
Where was your timer?
Well, I decided to give him some time because I didn't discuss the skins, but then he tried to shit on me for it.
Blatant disrespect.
It is what it is.
Also, I'm going to talk to me and my girlfriend, and we're talking about doing our own podcast.
Arsenal sucks. That's all I got. They're tough to watch.
So does Kadeen for trying to leave the pod.
I think Arteta is going to get. I think he's going to get sacked.
Yeah, really? Was flirting one moon.
Yeah, he's the team is terrible. We're going backwards, not forwards. And if this is his plan on how he's going to take Arsenal forward, it's not going to work.
Like 3 months ago, y'all were like, in Arteta we trust.
Yeah, but he has very good players, and he can't figure out how to translate it to the field.
Really? Yeah, y'all lamented your defense for so long. Is your defense magically good now?
Our defense, it's given up 1 or 2 goals a game, but we can't score.
Piers Morgan, who used to have a show on CNN but is now back in the UK, wrote this tweet. I don't know anything about soccer, but I love this tweet.
I love Piers.
What a dismal, wretched, hope-destroying Arsenal performance. The worst of Arteta's tenure. No fight, no flair, no nothing. Some of our players seem totally disinterested. What the hell is going on? The thought of Spurs away next week fills me with utter horror.
Yeah, this is our worst start in our history.
Oh,
it's our worst start. It's our worst start through 10 games ever.
Well, look, listen. Don't let the Spurs beat y'all worse than they did Man United.
No, they're gonna kick the shit out of us.
What was it, 6-2 for them? Don't let it be 6-2.
Oh, it's probably gonna be worse. Or it's probably gonna be 2-0, but that feels the same. Like if we can't score, if we don't feel like we can score and there's a goal scored on us, it's like game's over.
Better than 6-2.
Could be 1-0.
That's better than 6-2.
I would prefer 5-2 because at least we can put 2 goals in. All right, K-Dot, is there something you had on your mind?
Yeah, the shit went boom today.
Hang on. One sec. No, one sec.
Nope.
Hang on.
He already left. He's so mad.
The Death Star. It go boom.
That's good. Later, bud.
All right, bud.